Everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs robbery. Everyone's screaming corruption. Everyone's screaming rigged. This is why boxing sucks. This is why boxing's dying. This is why MMA is better. UFC is so much better. This and that. Did Francis Ngannou actually win, or did the judges get it right? And did Tyson Fury pull off a split decision victory?
Yeah, I don't think Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet no more. I think Tyson Fury rightfully took it.
Like, he was shocked himself.
Yeah.
And he himself said on an interview after the fight, and out advice towards Fury, to pump out the jab more, to land it more. Because, he himself saw $100 million for his undisputed fight against Fury withering away. Honestly, this fight shouldn't have seen the final bell. Fury should have been disqualified for that blatant elbow that he landed. Tyson Fury was the best elbow in the game.
Yo, and it's kind of crazy. That did nothing to Ngannou.
He ate it.
He ate that
He
shit.
ate it, man. Yeah. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Last Round Podcast. You have me, Pablo.
You got me, Rudo.
Asael.
And let's talk boxing. So, I think we're going to get right to the chase here. We had a big fight over the weekend, a big crossover fight between Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world, against Francis Ngannou, former UFC heavyweight champion of the world. And, coming into this fight, if you looked at the odds, in any betting app, you would see how big of an underdog Ngannou was. And, based on those odds and based on the outcome of the fight, it almost seems like two different stories. So I kind of want to ask you guys, what were your guys' thoughts about this Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury fight?
Yeah, the whole boxing community was writing Ngannou off. Even the MMA community was writing. Everyone was writing Ngannou off, man. I mean, they talked about it in the post-fight interview. This fight did not go the way it was scripted to go. People thought the only chance that Ngannou had was a knockout. He's a knockout master, knockout artist in MMA. Crazy power, and they thought, if he's going to go into a technical match with Tyson Fury, one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time, he's just going to get outpointed. So everyone was writing him off, all this. We were writing him off. I wrote him off, definitely. He surprised me. He surprised the whole world. And, yeah, he surprised me, and Tyson Fury disappointed me. I think it was a bit of both things. It's not like Francis Ngannou beat or fought the best Tyson Fury ever. So there's that. But it's also Francis Ngannou definitely showed that, he has some good boxing fundamentals. He can regulate his condition. He can regulate the pace, which is another question that he had. Honestly, I'm just kind of shocked, this is something that wasn't in the script, kind of messes up the whole heavyweight boxing, puts a bad name on heavyweight boxing, and it puts a great name on those MMA fighters, man. So
yeah, I think just to sum it up very shortly for me, very embarrassing, really. I can't believe this was a crossover between a boxer and MMA, and as we are boxing community supporters. I was almost expecting a similar vibe as to when we tune in to watch some of these influencer boxers and stuff like that. I was kind of expecting that vibe, Tyson Fury being, the guy that he is, the showman and stuff like that. I really thought he was going to play around with Francis Ngannou, kind of like picking out his food, playing with his food, doing whatever he likes, pleases and stuff like that at ease. And then I thought he was just going to knock him out. I assumed that Francis Ngannou was just going to get tired and Tyson would get him out of there in the later rounds, but that is definitely not the case. As what you said before, it was not scripted, and yeah, I was almost in shock. It was very possible that Tyson was gonna lose as well. Especially once that knockdown came from a left hook in the third round. It looked like Tyson Fury. There was another level of concern. You know what I'm saying? In order to get out of this fight and then possibly, fight later in December. That fight was almost going to be in jeopardy, his fight against Usyk. So, yeah, I guess just all in all, I'm just kind of embarrassed. Yeah, I can't believe this actually happened.
Yeah, overall, I think I'm a mixture of both of you guys. I'm shocked and I'm, embarrassed because, like you said, last week when we gave our predictions, we completely wrote off Francis Ngannou. We were like, oh, he's gonna gas out. He's not on the same level as Tyson Fury. Fury's gonna stop him. Beat him quite easily. And look at what happened this past weekend.
Yeah, at least we're not the only ones.
I know,
The
yeah.
whole boxing community.
Everyone was completely wrong.
You shocked the world. So
I remember the odds. Like I mentioned earlier, the odds like on DraftKings, for example, Tyson Fury was a negative 1,400 favorite, and by the end of the fight, Ngannou was the favorite, which is crazy. It was such a big turnaround. Oh my dude, it was. I just could not believe what was going on. It was like it's one of those moments that you just gotta see it in order to believe it. Cause like if you heard about it, like oh, Ngannou knocked down Tyson Fury, you'd be like really like, come on, bro, come on. But like I remember watching when he dropped, I was just like oh. Ngannou just dropped Tyson Fury, and it was like, like no way. It was the biggest shock. There's also, I don't know if you guys saw Usyk's reaction to the knockdown.
yeah, I did.
Like he was shocked himself,
Yeah.
and he himself said on an interview after the fight that he started, yelling out advice towards Fury, to pump out the jab more, to land it more, because I know Usyk, after he saw Fury get dropped and saw how the fight was going afterwards, he himself saw $100 million for his undisputed fight against Fury withering away. So, that kind of posed some concern for him. But yeah, like I was going back to the fight though. I feel this was a Tyson Fury that, one, didn't have the best training camp. I feel he really did not train at all for it. And two, he completely overlooked Francis Ngannou. Based on how he acted throughout the whole fight week, the whole press conferences and whatnot, and also John Fury there, doing his whole shenanigans. I think this was just a mixture of him, his lack of activity in the ring, and then his focus outside of the ring that really affected his performance. Because his last fight was against Chisora, and that was like over a year ago. He fought Dylan White like almost nearly 2 years ago. He's done Netflix specials. He has his own Netflix show. He has his own energy drink. He's doing things outside of the ring, So his focus has not been in boxing. And he was expecting an easy payday for this fight, going in, having fun, destroying Francis Ngannou, blah, blah. But the thing is, I don't think he expected Ngannou to come in with a game plan. Because Ngannou was set on beating him. Like, he did not care about anything else but besides beating him. And it really showed this past weekend, just the level that Fury has just dropped. He clearly was not in his game. This was like a C- performance from him, and this was against a Francis Ngannou who brought out his A game. So it was very interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only supporting evidence to the fact that Tyson Fury didn't train well, which I feel is just a lame excuse at the end of the day. The only is that he came in, the heaviest he's ever come in. Record breaking 277, I believe.
Heavier than Francis, too.
Heavier than Francis. Francis 272. Which was, I think, as well, Francis, that was his heaviest as well. I think it was both their all-time heaviest weight. But what surprised me about Tyson Fury is, okay, he came in his heaviest, right? That's fine. He's come in. I think the last time he beat that record was when he was gonna fight Wilder for the second time, where he put on a lot of weight. The thing is, he puts on that weight. That's cool. What I was expecting was his game plan was gonna be what he did to Wilder, which is push forward. Tyson Fury has two type of styles. The one that he displayed last night, which is his herky-jerky type of style. It's on his toes. A lot of feints, and he's kind of trying to box you around the ring. And then that's what we were accustomed to about Tyson Fury. That was his style. People were all, man, he's unorthodox. He can move really well. A lot of great feints. And then when he fought Wilder, he showed a different style, which is the second fight. He showed a different style, which is
Kronk style.
Yeah, the Kronk style, which is Sugar
yeah.
Hill style, where he goes forward and he pushes the pace. He turned kind of into a power puncher. And it made sense, he put on the weight, so he's able to bully his opponents. Okay, that's good and that's fine. But I don't really understand why he would come in his heaviest if he wants to be on his toes and do a lot of movement, do a lot of feints, be quick, it doesn't really make that much sense to me. So
Mhm.
I can't say that he trained, whether or not he trained. Listen, I don't know him, but because at the end of the day, he is a world champion. He's a top tier, you know what I'm saying, boxer. At the end of the day, like this guy, he's not a no, not a joke. You know, he's been boxing his whole life, and I'm sure he trained. But the only thing is, I believe his weight didn't match the fighting style that he was trying to go for. If you want to be quick, on your toes, fast, feints, lose some weight. Don't come in the heaviest you've ever come in, because that's definitely gonna impact your speed.
Yeah, and pick your speed, but most importantly, your performance as well. I believe. So there's those two excuses, right? That he didn't train hard enough for Francis, and he overlooked him. I think for sure he overlooked Francis. I really think on paper, and it's true. On paper, he's definitely a novice boxer. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he started, I believe, kickboxing
He
before.
started boxing first.
Oh, he started boxing first, and then what? He
Went
got
into
into.
MMA.
Did he go into kickboxing?
No.
No, he never got into kickboxing. I thought he was a kickboxer before, but okay, so he started boxing and then he gets into the MMA scene, and then he has a career in UFC and whatnot. I really think he doesn't the level of experience doesn't match what Tyson has. So I really do feel like that he overlooked Francis a lot. I really thought that he thought it was just gonna be a walk in the park, a piece of cake. And lo and behold, that is definitely not what happened. I think that's what it was. I think he just overlooked them. Him being the elite boxer in his weight class for X amount of years. Yeah, I think that's what it was.
This is another thing about it. So, people are like kind of obviously, Ngannou shocked a lot of the world, right, with his boxing ability, and people, it's kind of what I take from that is people were kind of expecting him to literally come out like a novice, which I don't think is necessarily true. Okay, so he did start out boxing, but then again, okay, let's say maybe he didn't box for that long, and then he transitioned to MMA really quickly. Okay, that's fine. This situation reminds me of the same thing when Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather. Everyone was like, "Oh, look how well Conor McGregor did." And everyone was like, "Oh, it's his pro debut." It's like, yeah, that's kind of a, what's the word? It's like
The
a,
expectations.
no, not the expectations. It's like a false. I don't know exactly how to say it, but he was making his pro debut, but that does not mean he's a novice boxer. That doesn't, people were super surprised about Conor McGregor. It's like, yes, it is his pro debut, but that's kind of tricking you. It's like a trick.
Okay.
Oh, it's his pro debut. Yeah, it is his pro debut, but he's not is novice boxer. He is in the MMA game, and his forte is striking.
Yeah.
The same thing with Francis Ngannou. Yes, he isn't a boxer, and this was his pro debut, but he is an MMA fighter, and his forte is striking. So you give him, 6 months. I don't know how long he knew this fight was going to, this fight was signed. I don't remember, but however much, 6 months, 4 months to clean up his striking, and he goes out there and he does decent. I'm not like, he does good, but I think people were just like super surprised, and people kind of downplayed that he was gonna literally look like a novice boxer, and that really wasn't the case.
For me, I didn't think he was gonna look like a novice boxer. I didn't think he was gonna be up on his toes and stuff like that. My game plan, or what my expectation was of Francis, was to him start really fast. I knew he had Mike Tyson, and it's funny enough that Mike Tyson ended up not being in his corner. But I assumed that he was gonna try to take a little page off of Mike Tyson's book, start fast, and see if he can end the fight kind of quick, or see if he can land something hard within those first couple rounds, and then Tyson was just gonna eat him up. He was just gonna get super tired, and Tyson was just gonna finish him off. No, I think what Francis did was that he's pretty smart. I think he knows his pros and cons. What he did was he went in there with common sense, and I think he knew that he was just gonna be very slow. So what he did was he regulated his energy. I think that's really what it was. I think Francis is pretty smart. He's a lot smarter than what I expected, and this is someone who has never really watched him fight. But I think that's really what it was. He came in there with kind of a decent game plan. He really just regulated his energy, and then just kind of made the adjustments he needed along the way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. His regulation was the most important thing. A lot of people were saying that his gas tank wasn't going to last the full 10 rounds and he wasn't going to be able to go all 10 rounds with Tyson Fury. He showed us that he could do it because, just like you said, he regulated his temperature. He didn't do a lot of crazy explosions throughout the fight. He didn't really put a lot of power in a lot of his punches as much as he could have. And he stayed in his stance pretty well, didn't overextend. Another thing, he talked about it in an interview after the fight. He said that he realized that Tyson Fury didn't do anything to him when he turned into the southpaw stance. So then he said, whenever I wanted to rest, I'd just turn southpaw, and then Tyson Fury wouldn't attack me, and I could just rest.
That's smart.
Big brain from Francis Ngannou. He got the IQ of Floyd Mayweather in there, man. No, but yeah, this event, a venue packed with boxing legends, with top tier celebrities, and it was supposed to be a very, very fun, easy week for Tyson Fury. Turned out to be probably his most embarrassing, easily his most embarrassing moment. Embarrassing moment in the ring, because. Yeah, like you mentioned, Francis Ngannou, people were expecting him to just get wiped out, but because Tyson's such an elite fighter, and we've seen what he can do in the ring in his best days. He completely dismantles his opponents. He's a great boxer. He's shown he has power in his punches, but none of that showed this past weekend against Ngannou, and it just makes up, or just kind of builds up to his life outside of the ring. He's obviously not focused on the sport, so this was a very big, humbling experience for Tyson Fury, and I'm I'm interested to see what steps they take, because now he has a fight up against Usyk, and Frank Warren was saying that the fight is not going to happen as it said in December, but rather in January or February, due to the injuries that Fury picked up during the bout. So, based on this performance from Tyson Fury, what happens in the fight between him versus Alexander Usyk?
Well, first, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we should first ask
the question.
Was it a robbery?
Yeah.
Or was it not a robbery?
Yeah.
Did Francis Ngannou actually win? Or did the judges get it right, and did Tyson Fury pull off a split decision victory?
Yeah, I would say, unfortunately, the MMA community might not agree with it, but yeah, I don't think Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet no more. I think Tyson Fury rightfully took it. No, but in all honesty, yes, Tyson. Okay, to be honest, unbiased. I really think it could have been a draw. No lie. That or Tyson. I gave Tyson maybe a draw or a win, really. I could see it maybe going that way. But no, I don't think Francis got robbed. Francis, again, very smart. He knows his pros and cons. He knows that he's a big dude. He wasn't going to go in there trying to box. Definitely not try to box against a master boxer. So he did the best thing that he could, and he tried timing Tyson Fury coming in. What helped was that Tyson Fury came in super overweight, so he was very sluggish. Francis definitely took advantage of that. That's how he ended up being on the ground. Francis countering him with a hook. That's really what it was. But other than that, he didn't really do much either. You know what I'm saying? He was just waiting the whole time for Tyson to actually throw. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't actively looking. So, and apart from that, that's what I saw. Francis didn't do much either.
Yeah. Again, this comes back. We mentioned this as well, in the KSI and Tommy Fury fight about the robbery. Everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs, robbery. Everyone's screaming corruption. Everyone's screaming rigged. This is why boxing sucks. This is why boxing's dying. This is why MMA is better. UFC is so much better. This and that. And although I'll agree. There's definitely some corruption in boxing, right? No one is negating that. But to scream out robbery to this fight is disingenuous. This fight was super close. And just like you said, there was not many crazy moments in the fight. The only one was when Ngannou knocked him down. But look at the other rounds. Literally, barely anything was going on in the fight. There wasn't a lot of clean punches landed. Tyson Fury was kind of fainting, dancing on the outside. Ngannou was just there waiting for him. It's not like he was trying to initiate either. He sat there in the middle of the ring, and waited for Tyson Fury to come at him. And if Tyson Fury didn't want to come at him, he'd just dance around, and nothing would really happen. You know, these rounds were super close. Okay, so there's no big conspiracy. Okay, there's no robbery that like it was a clear Francis Ngannou win. No, it was not a clear Francis Ngannou win. If he won rounds, it was by the tiniest margin, except the third round, obviously. So there goes that. This wasn't robbery. You know, if you believe Francis edged it out, you know, I could see it. I personally had it a draw as well. I think it was a draw. I gave, going into the 10th round, the final round, I gave I had the fight scored 5 rounds for Fury and 4 rounds for Ngannou. But because of the knockdown, it was draw. It was even. And then the 10th round was literally just
It was the most boring
like,
round.
Nothing happened. You know, there was a Superman punch thrown. There was some
failed.
You know, yeah.
It was sloppy too.
Like nothing happened in that 10th round. Literally nothing happened. So if you give that round to Fury, then Fury wins. If you give it to Ngannou, obviously Ngannou wins. But I believe you should give it to fucking nobody because no one did anything. So that's why I gave that round, the 10th round, a draw, 10-10.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, in total, you know, it'd be, I guess I don't really know how. Going in, it was 5-4 for Fury, but because of the knockdown. It was a draw, and then they both get 10 points, a draw.
A draw.
That's what I believe. I think that's the most fair scorecard because they really didn't do anything. If in that 10th round, if you choose, like, an opponent, I feel like it's kind of like just biased. Like if,
a little bit.
A little biased, you know, because they literally did nothing in that 10th round. No one did anything. Stale round. I think it should be a draw.
Yeah, the 2 judges who had it, 95, 94 for both fighters, I think they had it right. The judge who had it 96, 93, was it, for Tyson Fury? I don't know how you get that.
I think...
How you get that scorecard, man? I feel that's a little too one-sided for Fury.
If you use my scorecard, I think going into it 5-4 for Fury... And then you give the last round of Fury. I think it goes to what was it, 96?
96, 93.
I believe so.
No,
there's no way.
Think so,
we have to give him another round in between.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure if you go with my, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong because I did the math last night. But I believe so. If you give the last round of Fury, then he'd win 96, 93.
Well,
or maybe I could be wrong. Actually.
I don't think it. Yeah, because I feel 95, 94. That for either one of those fights, I think it's fair because this fight, like you said, super close, razor thin. Could have gone either way at the end. You know, that 10th round was bad. I mean, I guess if you want to count the round toward Ngannou because of the Superman punch, then you know you can give him the round. But besides that, yeah, the fight was I don't know, the fight. It was so close. It was. I remember everyone on social media was just blowing up saying, robbery, Ngannou won that, you know how boxing is, blah, blah, blah. The Furies always get their way. But, like, if it could have gone either way, man, it could have, yeah.
That going back to the scorecard, that last round, judge, 96, 93, he gave 3 rounds to Francis.
So yeah, then he gave one more. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't my scorecard. Then yeah.
Yeah.
Then
so
my scorecard would be
plus the knockdown too. You got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what would that be? Your scorecard? Wait.
So then my scorecard was 5-4 going into the 10th. That means that judge's scorecard was.
He's smoking crack.
5-4. Then it was 6-3. 6-3 going into the 10th, and then he gave the last round of Fury. Correct? I believe so. Yeah, he gave the last round of Fury.
He only gave rounds to Francis the 2nd, 3rd, and the 8th.
Yeah, so the 10th round. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What I was asking. Yeah, the 10th round, he gave it to Fury. So then he finished the fight 7-3.
7-3, yeah. Which I think is a little too big of a gap for a fight that was as close as this one. But honestly, this fight shouldn't have seen the final bell. Fury should have been disqualified for that blatant elbow that he landed.
That shit was crazy, man.
KSI, what? Nah, bro. Tyson Fury was the best elbow in the game.
Yo, and it's kind of crazy. That did nothing to Ngannou.
He ate it.
He ate that shit.
He ate it, man. Yeah. He ate it. I don't know how you eat something like that.
I don't think the technique that Fury threw it with was the most optimal, but it was still an elbow nonetheless.
Still an elbow.
Yeah.
Came from that.
It was still an elbow, but yeah. So back to the whole decision about the fight. So y'all, you said it was not a robbery. It was like
No,
it
it
was
was
just
definitely
a.
not a robbery. Yeah, another thing, like you said, well, it kind of goes back into what we were already talking about. Like, I think people were, even though Fury got the split decision victory, or even though Francis lost, he still won in the people's eyes, because it's just like, because everyone was expecting him to perform so shit, and he performed pretty good. So then everyone's like, "Oh my God, he won!" And that kind of led into the robbery, like part of it. Like everyone just expected Fury to just wipe the floor with him, and since he didn't, then everyone's just like, "Oh my God, robbery!" Like let's really score the fight, you know? Like people, I think that's the majority of the people, especially in the MMA, that are just screaming robbery. Like,
I think the knockdown really helped.
the knockdown as
Knock.
well.
Everyone's gonna remember the knockdown.
Yeah, of course.
The picture that have come out from that, they're pretty cold, man.
They
The
are.
pictures are pretty cold. I can't lie, but yeah, the knockdown definitely helped. You know, I remember it was like eighth, ninth round. I don't recall what round it was, but in between the rounds, they you know, they're panning the camera out to the crowd, and they panned it out to Paris Fury, you know, Tyson Fury's wife, and she did not look at all anyway happy. You know, every time they showed the camera towards Fury's corner, there's always a sense of urgency because they knew how close this fight was. And do y'all think after the fight once they announced the win and then Fury did his whole the post fight interview right there in the ring, do you think after in the locker room he got grilled by his team? Do you think they
Probably Sugar Hill.
You
Sugar
think
Hill seems like a no nonsense type of coach.
Yeah, you
you
think
know?
he grilled him about it?
Yeah, and he was kind of grilling him in between rounds. He's like, "Come on, do this. You're not doing this." You know. Yeah, Sugar Hill is definitely one of those coaches that like no BS. You know, he'll tell it to you straight. He doesn't care.
Yeah, that's the Kronk gym style.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
like yeah, his uncle was the
Emmanuel Stewart?
Emmanuel Stewart,
the
legendary.
coach, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he ain't scared. He ain't, you know what I'm saying? He got some. So I'm sure he definitely had a talk with him. Like, yeah, that was one of your worst performances ever. You know, like yeah, you definitely disappointed.
Most embarrassing performance, man, especially on such a big stage like that. And that should have been such a piece of cake, like a very much sparring match. You know what I'm saying? Tyson Fury has always said that he's so good that. Have you heard this meme? It's like two pictures of Anthony Joshua and then of Tyson Fury. One of them is saying that Anthony Joshua is our training regimen routine throughout camp. He eats this amount of proteins. He does this. He does that. Very dedicated. And then this is apparently a quote that Tyson Fury has said that the night before a sparring at the gym, he had like 3 pints of whatever beer, 12 pints of whatever beer. The next day, I batted the top 3, top 10 heavyweights in my division with ease. That should have been like that. That's what we should have seen last week.
Yeah, this is a question I want to ask you guys, okay? So, yeah, I'm not saying Fury was Fury, okay? I'm not saying that Fury was Fury.
Okay.
You know, he definitely didn't perform how we thought he was going to perform. He could definitely perform a lot better. That's 100%. No one's arguing that. But what I saw, listen, Fury was kind of doing what he used to do. He throws a lot of feints. His old boxing style, the herky-jerky style. I call it that. I don't even know there's a specific name for it. But
yeah, it's a lot of feints.
It's not a Kronk style like he
Yeah.
used against Wilder. So a lot of feints, so his opponent doesn't set, right? His opponent kind of doesn't know when he's going to throw. And then he kind of throws jabs, a lot of feints, a lot of head movement whenever his opponent tries to throw punches at him, and kind of just dances around the ring. And if Fury does initiate, this is what he did against Wilder a lot, he throws a 1-2, and then he smothers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he kind of did that in the fight against Francis Ngannou. He threw a lot of feints, the herk-a-jerk style. He danced around the ring, and whenever he'd throw punches, like a 1-2, he'd smother. Immediately he'd smother. But that's not atypical of Fury. You go back to the Wilder fight, that's what he was doing. He'd throw a 1-2 punch, and then he'd smother and grab him, and then, a little clinch fighting, then separate. He'd do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of saw what Fury wasn't as effective with that style, but that is his style.
That's
Or
very.
am I wrong?
No, I mean, that's true. I guess you know what I'm saying. He does like to throw a lot of feints, kind of do that footwork as if he was going in and stuff like that. But I really think if that's your game plan against other elite boxers, you shouldn't have been doing that against a guy who, again, on paper, isn't on that level. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should have been a lot easier. And the thing is, it was being so ineffective too, which I was so surprised. Like, Francis was not even eating up any of those feints as well.
I think that was the biggest thing that helped Francis. And I think that could be a multitude of reasons. Because, okay, yeah, everyone that's faced Tyson Fury, whenever he feints them like that, the opponent is kind of like in a state of tension where he doesn't know if he's going to come in, he doesn't know if he should set his feet, or he doesn't know if he should go forward. It kind of paralyzes you, that little herky-jerk feint, because Tyson Fury is so long, so he could feint you, and then out of nowhere just like snipe you with the jab because he's so tall and so long. You know, and that makes his opponents very super tense and not knowing exactly when Fury's gonna come in and when Fury's just gonna stay on the outside. But Francis had an amazing read on when there were feints and when they weren't feints. Albeit, of course, he got caught with some feints. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know, he's imperfect. But for the majority of the fight, he did a fantastic job not reacting to Tyson Fury's feints. Yeah. Fantastic. And that definitely helped him because, obviously, being super tense after your opponent feints you and, like, biting on all those feints, one, it depletes your energy.
Yeah.
You know, and, of course, that's a big concern for Francis Ngannou. But two, it also kind of gets you out of your game plan and kind of gets you into his game plan. It leads you up to counters because now he can read how you react to a certain type of feint, and then he can set you up. So a lot of the big part of Fury's game is that feints, and those were super ineffective. And I think that's what made Fury super ineffective because his feints weren't working.
Yeah.
His feints literally weren't working. He said it multiple times in a post-fight interview. Yeah, he's a very awkward guy. And I think that's what it is. I think Fury was so surprised that this motherfucker was not biting on his feints.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he wasn't biting on the feint. Did a great job with that.
Yeah. So, with that being said, yeah, well, I guess what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a true case. You know, the feints really were not effective. You know, everyone, like you said, always bites on them, and that's what leads to him being able to not only break you down physically, but break you down mentally, you know, in a fight. And that's what's always been helping him. But even though he was doing in this fight, you could tell it was super sluggish. His technique, his form, his boxing overall, what I saw was super sluggish. It was not sharp. And that's what made me realize, like, this man half-assed his training camp. I firmly do not believe he took this fight serious at all. I firmly do not believe, because you know how the Furies are. They have, not only are they, you know, big in stature, but they have some of the biggest egos in the sport. So for him, you know, fighting against Ngannou, who's just going to make his professional debut, he's like, this guy's going to be a piece of cake. I don't even got to train that hard for him. So I believe he completely half-assed the fight, and, you know, he paid the price for it right here, you know. But he's not gonna. The blame's on him for that. You know, he's the only person who he needs to own up to that thing. But that's for me. That's what I personally think. I think he was just not. He tried doing what he'd always been doing, but he was just not sharp with it. Super sluggish. The form, the technique just was not there.
Definitely, the speed wasn't there. And I don't know if that's because his training or it's because his weight. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. You know, the heaviest, we talked about this again, you know, the speed, it's going to get impacted. So I can't tell you which one it was, but, you know, Francis Ngannou, I think, yeah, the main thing that helped him was not biting on those feints. I think that was the pivotal point in the fight. Him not biting on the feints, it kind of worried Fury, and it let Francis Ngannou control his energy levels, so he can sustain all 10 rounds. Mm. You know, those feints are crazy. And I think one of the reasons Francis was able to not bite on those feints is because he comes from a different background, MMA.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Fury said that, kept on saying this. He's such an awkward fighter. What does that mean? That just means the way he moves is different. The way maybe he throws punches is different. The angles in which he uses is different. All those things are different. Maybe his feints weren't, and again, this isn't the answer, but this is my speculation. Maybe Francis coming from a different discipline, MMA, where striking is obviously completely different. It kind of helped him. I don't know, just like helped him not bite on those feints. It helped him like see the feints maybe, helped him know when he's feinting and when he's actually throwing. And it's that I think scared Fury because he's like, this guy's so awkward. Why isn't he? Everyone should bite on these feints. Look at the range I'm in. Like I could. Why aren't you moving or why aren't you doing anything?
Damn, I think not only that, but Francis wasn't scared then. I don't think Francis was scared of Tyson Fury at all. Like for someone to be like that and not really bite down on any of those feints, it looked like he was ready to take a punch from Tyson Fury if he could land one back. And that's what he was banking on. And I don't think Tyson was expecting that either. So then again, it goes back to the thing. I think he did overlook him a little bit. But yeah, not only that, but that also helped Francis also take control of the fight, and not only that, but also get a better timing as well, which is what happened.
Yeah, his timing was perfect. Whenever Fury would come in, he'd try to counter him. Obviously, the most important one is when he countered him with that hook.
Yeah.
Perfect, beautifully timed. Fury went in, and I think this is where the speed aspect comes into it. Maybe because he was too heavy, his speed was just like shit, and also combined with the fact his feints weren't working. Francis kind of knew when he was coming in.
Yeah, he also got hit too, I believe, with the right hand.
He got hit, and then boom, just came out with the hook right on the temple, set him down.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. With this being said, that hook, it didn't look like Francis did a whole twerk on it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't look like there was correct technique, and even then, it still put down Tyson on the ground.
Yeah, Ngannou can definitely.
Punch pretty hard.
Definitely harder than that. Yeah.
How do you compare that with Deontay Wilder's right hand?
I think Wilder still punches harder. Definitely. That right. I mean, well, then again, we didn't see Ngannou's right hand, so we can't compare the right hand. Right hand to right hand. But I still definitely. And then the hook. That's Wilder's not really known for his hook. Doesn't really care about his hook.
Yeah, Wilder's only punch is the right hand. That's
right hand. But I think Wilder still punches harder solely because he puts everything into that right hand.
Totally, yeah.
Look at him throw punches. He leaps with that jab to measure the range, and his stance is so wide, and he gets so much torque in his punch when he throws that right hand. There's a reason why it has so much power. He throws it from back here, and it crushes opponents. But even then, even if he doesn't get that much space, it still has power. As we've seen with the Robert Helenius fight.
That one was insane.
That one was crazy. On the back foot, just like this. Literally like this.
Knocking on the door, huh?
Knocking on the door. He knocked this guy's lights out, bruh. Makes no sense. So I personally still think Wilder hits harder. But, we don't know because we didn't see. We can't measure Wilder's right hand with Ngannou's right hand because we didn't see the power of Ngannou's right hand in boxing gloves. So.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, But yeah, so overall, this event was a big win for Ngannou.
Oh, definitely.
A big L for Fury. And what's his name? Solomon. The WBC Mauricio Solomon, the WBC president, supposedly told Ngannou and his team that Ngannou will be ranked in the top 10 for the heavyweights. So potentially, if there's a rematch, he could be fighting for the titles. So what do you guys make of this? With Ngannou now, he made it clear that he wants to keep boxing. Who would be the perfect opponent for him?
Yeah, for him, I think he's in a very unique situation where he only wants big fights. And he's only going to cross over into boxing for big fights. Like, we've seen, this was his pro debut, and he was going against that world heavyweight champion. So he doesn't care about really rankings. What he cares about is a name and money. You give him Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz, and offer him a bunch of M's. Oh, he's gonna sign the contract.
Yeah.
So with him, he also has very high leverage because he is as well a big name, and he's shown now he belongs. He knows how to box. He has decent fundamentals. He's a pretty decent fighter, honestly. Pretty decent fighter, and he has crazy power. So, he's a very dangerous heavyweight at the moment. For him, I don't know his next step. I mean, he still has a PFL contract. He talked about this as well. I saw an interview he did with ESPN MMA.
Oh yeah.
He sat down with them for like 10 minutes and talked about the fight, and talked about his future and this and that. And they asked him, he's like, yeah, so like, what's the word? I mean, obviously you say you love MMA, and before he was talking about like he's getting his groove in MMA and he's really flowing, he's being really good. But now he talks with so much passion about boxing, and now he has such a future. He's so much opportunities in boxing. And they told he was like, so what are you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna do both. I got a PFL contract that I got to oblige with.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go PFL, fight MMA, and then I'm gonna come back to boxing. I'm just gonna do both. He's like, I can handle both, and I love both of them, so I'm gonna do both. I think I don't know how his PFL contract is structured. Maybe he has to fight an MMA fight first or something. I don't know. Can't be sure, but what I'm sure is he's definitely gonna cross over into boxing once again. And it all depends on the other big heavyweights, or the big name heavyweights.
Yeah.
Because if they want to, they could fight him. If they don't want to, they don't have to fight him. It's not like he has a belt or nothing. It's not like he's mandatory or nothing. They don't really necessarily have to fight him. So it's up to them. Obviously, I'd love to see a power puncher versus power puncher, Francis Ngannou versus Deontay Wilder. I think that would definitely blow the roof off. And I think, it'd be, who is the heaviest puncher in the world,
So you're actually you like the fact that Mauricio put him now. He's gonna be ranked within the top 10, at least within that organization.
Well, I think it didn't change anything. Like I said, even if Francis wouldn't have gotten ranked, he still likes boxing, and he still would have wanted to fight big names.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily matter. It all depends on Wilder. If Wilder wants to fight him, you know what I'm saying? Wilder doesn't have to fight him. He has no need to fight him. So,
Hey, it's crazy how much money changes someone, huh? Before he was all MMA, UFC, pay me my money. I'm gonna go to a different MMA organization, and then he goes to boxing.
yeah.
I think he's gonna stay at boxing, if I'm gonna be honest.
Well, he definitely has a contract with PFL.
That's true.
So he has to. I don't know the exact details, but I know obviously he can fight on different organizations, just like he showed. But he definitely has. I know for sure he has to fight MMA. Under the PFL. But so we'll see about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see now, but I don't know if PFL will ever pay him that much amount of money. I believe, if I'm mistaken, he was gonna take something around 10 million
For this fight.
for this fight. Yes, I don't know if PFL can match that or get as close to that as he could.
Well, yeah, it all depends on. Firstly, I was looking a little into his PFL contract. It's crazy. Like it's honestly insane. He negotiated a term in his contract for a minimum of $2 million for his opponent's pay. Not even for his pay.
No.
For his opponent, a minimum. And he was talking about this on the Joe Rogan. He said, but if we get a big name and someone has big leverage, they can get much more money.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the money is coming from PFL, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if they're into that shady business, but I guess they got a lot of money. yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
He's looking out for his opponent.
Yeah, he's looking. I can't remember exactly how much he said he's gonna make, but if his opponent
A lot more than 2 million.
yeah, his opponent is minimum 2 M's. Oh my gosh! Like, don't even get me started. Like,
Yeah, that's crazy. So, I guess going back to the question, if you want to see him against maybe other potential of the elite boxers of the heavyweight division right now. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I guess another one of these like fights in Saudi Arabia, stuff like that. They invite a whole bunch of celebrities. Kanye West was there. Eminem was there. Lil Baby performed, I believe, as well.
yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Another thing like that, I wouldn't be opposed to it if I'm gonna be completely honest. I know some people might not. Just some of the things I've seen on Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But who do I want to see him fight? I feel like, for sure, I don't think he beats Wilder. I think Wilder beats him. I think if AJ, once he comes back from his hibernation or whatever he's doing, he
Oh,
has
he's doing some weird
he
stuff.
has locked himself currently in a very dark room.
In like a pitch dark room for like days, no?
This day, something like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know what he's gonna get schizophrenia or something, dude. He's gonna go insane, man.
So hopefully he comes back as the old Anthony Joshua that we remember, 2016 AJ. If that AJ comes out, I see him beating Francis as well. I feel like the one that he might be able to beat is possibly Dylan White or Chisora, stuff like that. But other than that, I don't see him being Andy Reese, Joey Joyce, Daniel Dubois. Definitely not Usyk. I believe, would mop the floor against Francis.
Interesting. I think I don't know about Joshua, bro. I don't know about Andy Reese either.
Andy Reese is the
Yeah.
one. Yeah, Andy Reese. Screw the Wilder fight. Go fight Ngannou. You want a money fight? There's a money fight. There's a money
That's a
fight.
money fight. You can't argue with that fact. It's
Yeah, money fight, man. Easy. It should be easy for you, right? Like, exactly. Come on. But I mean, for me personally, I'd like to see him against the Big Bang. The Big Bang Zang, man. That fight would be crazy. That fight would be crazy. Two heavy hitters. Big Bang coming off a KO win against Joe Joyce, proving it was no fluke. And Ngannou coming off a very controversial decision. So I'd want to see something like that. But yeah. So back to Fury though. We're talking about Ngannou. He has a great future in the sport now. He's what, like, is he 38? How old is he?
Got 37.
37.
Yeah.
He's at a decent age for heavyweights. They hit their prime differently than other fighters in different weight classes. So he's at that age where he could still keep fighting for a year, 3 years. He still has if he takes care of himself with his discipline, which he seems like the guy who is. But let's go back to Fury. This man was scheduled to fight Alexander Usyk in December. Granted he took serious injuries after this fight, but after this performance, Frank Warren himself said that the fight will not be happening in December, rather in January or February. So regardless of that, we're probably still gonna see the undisputed fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. Does this fight against Ngannou change your perspective about that outcome?
No, it doesn't necessarily, and it was just like this was just like a strange detour kind of hiccup.
A side quest, huh?
Yeah, like it was just something completely different. I think now obviously it was a scare, but Fury's back on the main course. It's as it's always been. He's gonna go fight for the undisputed championship. I never thought that the December date was very possible. Even if Fury would have knocked him out, like Ngannou in the third or fourth or something, and sustained no injury, I still wouldn't believe it because it's just such a quick turnaround. It's such a quick turnaround. And Fury seems like the guy who kind of wants to celebrate a little bit after his wins. So regardless, I think we're going, back to the main quest. We're going Usyk, and it doesn't really change anything for me because at the end of the day, styles make fights, and maybe we saw some weakness maybe with against Fury if his opponent's very strong or some other stuff, but Usyk is nothing similar to Ngannou. Completely different. It's not even like the same thing at all. So I don't see a change in perspectives. I don't see a change in ways. I think Fury is going to prepare very well for the fight. Usyk is going to prepare very well for the fight. And they both know what they're getting themselves into. They both know the styles that they bring. So it doesn't change for me. I still think Fury is the best heavyweight. I think he will beat Usyk. That's just, I still think he beats him.
It's changed a little bit for me. I believe Tyson Fury is going to go back to the drawing board and he's going to train a lot harder. And I think he's going to have something to prove. And I think he's going to stop Usyk. So it's technically still the same. The winner doesn't change. It's Tyson Fury. But instead of him winning on decision, I think he's going to try to look for a stoppage or definitely look very, very impressive. Yeah. Just from all the criticism that I've just been seeing. So, yeah. What about you?
It's kind of like a Rocky moment. When Rocky, he was winning, he had all this money, he had all this fame. and he wasn't really taking his training serious. You know, he was doing like wrestling matches, exhibitions, stuff like that. It kind of felt like that, you know. But then, you know, he got the hard reality, you know, once he stepped up against what's his name?
Mr. T.
What?
Mr. T.
But what's his name in the movie?
I don't remember.
I forgot his
It was
name.
like some weird, but it's Mr. T.
Yeah, Mr. T, you know, but it kind of felt like that, you know, after he took that loss, you know, he humbled them and it brought back the hunger. It kind of feels like something like that, you know, along the lines of for Tyson Fury.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this fight was just like I've mentioned multiple times already. It showed that Fury does not have the hunger, you know, for fighting like that, you know, and it really. I'm glad he was able to be I know for a fact he's not happy with the way this fight ended. You know, he got humbled. Tyson Fury got humbled by Francis Ngannou, and he's embarrassed right now. The whole boxing world is, you know, they already had a bad stigma. They already had something against him. You know, because they think he's holding up the division. He rarely fights. He's always doing other things. And this kind of, you know, puts the nail in the coffin. People hate Tyson Fury. I'm pretty sure right now the hate for him is out of this world because he embarrassed the sport. He embarrassed boxing. This was not supposed to happen. He embarrassed it. So I'm interested to see how he reacts to this criticism. You know, he's done multiple comebacks in his career. You know, some pretty big ones, some pretty drastic ones. He's became world champion multiple times because of this. But at his age, with how successful he is outside of the ring, does he still have that hunger to be that type of fighter that he was when he was coming up? The fighter who wanted to be champion, who wanted to prove something, who wanted to have a legacy, who wanted to be among the greats. Does he still have that hunger? Because I know for a fact Usyk has that hunger. He has the desire to want to be something great, and he's been aiming for Tyson Fury for such a long time. But Tyson Fury, gatekeeping the division, has, you know, done his own thing, done a trilogy with Chisora, has fought twice in like 2 or 3 years. It's not the same Tyson Fury. So hopefully this fight against Ngannou switches something in his head that, you know, makes him, you know, brings back that passion that he once had. You know, that makes him want to work hard in the camp, makes him want to, you know, prove the critics wrong. Sort of what Canelo did, you know, having to shush these haters, shush the critics, and prove them with his, you know, with his boxing. But for me personally, my opinion has changed. I think Usyk is favorite to beat Tyson Fury, in my opinion.
Wow.
That was our, you know, our thoughts, our opinions about this Fury versus Francis Ngannou fight that went down this past weekend. Let us know what you guys think. Put it down in the comments. Follow us on social media. We're on Twitter or X, TikTok, Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, just let us know what you guys thought. If you guys thought it was a robbery or not. What's next for Francis Ngannou, and what's next for Tyson Fury. But besides that, this was Pablo.
This was Rulo.
Asael.
And this was the Last Round podcast. Thank you.